Hi there. You're listening to English Podcast for Beginners, your friendly guide to learning English step by step. Let's learn, practice, and grow together.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're getting into a challenge that I think almost everyone faces when learning a new language. It's that question of how you move beyond the textbook, to get to that genuine natural fluency. For so many people, the sheer amount of stuff in English, the idioms, the vocabulary, it just feels overwhelming.
It's a huge wall to climb.
But our sources today, which are really tailored for learners, they present this refreshingly simple technique for cutting through all that noise.
And it's so effective.
It's using the power of daily life stories. We're not talking about, studying Shakespeare. We're talking about just narrating your Monday morning.
Right.
So our mission is to unpack why focusing on these simple personal experiences, like the fastest shortcut to mastering conversational English, and then give you the toolkit to start using this method right now.
And it really is the perfect counter strategy to that information overload you mentioned. Well, whether you're trying to quickly get ready for a new job or, just want to feel more confident ordering a coffee, the real challenge is moving from just recognizing words to actually using them.
From passive to active.
Exactly. And what's so fascinating here is how the source material just distills this huge learning task into these manageable, meaningful little pieces, all centered around the simple but meaningful theme of your own daily life. It just grounds everything in reality.
I think that grounding part is so key. It sort of takes the pressure off. I remember trying to learn Spanish, and I'd try to rehearse these complex political arguments in my head.
Oh, wow.
And I'd just freeze up. The vocabulary was impossible. But if I just focused on narrating something simple, like, you forgot my wallet, the whole task would have felt, achievable.
Exactly. And the sources really emphasize starting with that. Low stakes, high impact learning. They literally tell us to just relax, focus on the sounds of English, and enjoy building fluency through stories you already know by heart. You don't need to invent drama.
Okay, so let's unpack that with a bit more rigor. What is the real trick here? Why start with your breakfast? If the goal is fluency, why not just, tackle professional language right away? Isn't focusing on the mundane kind of delaying things?
That's a great question, and it speaks to this core linguistic principle. It's all about cognitive load.
Cognitive load.
Yeah. When you try to learn highly specialized, unfamiliar words and build complex sentences at the same time, you overload your working memory. Your brain is trying to do two really hard things at once.
Decoding the topic and decoding the language.
Precisely. So the sources make this strong case for the mundane because it just completely reduces that cognitive load. The stories come from these normal moments.
Like waking up, your commute.
Waking up, commuting, eating breakfast. Yeah, it requires almost no mental energy to understand the situation itself. And the benefit is really twofold. Firstly, you get immediate access to familiar vocabulary. The words you need to describe running for a bus are either ones you already know or are, super relevant to your life right now. You're not looking up technical terms.
Right, so you're taking away that hurdle of figuring out what to say.
Yes. So you put 100% of your focus on how to say it, the structure.
The language structure?
And secondly, there's the benefit of easy visualization. Because the situations are so personal. I mean, you literally lived them 5 hours ago. It just dramatically helps with comprehension and memory retention.
That makes sense.
When you hear or practice a sentence like, I burned my toast this morning, your brain isn't creating a new scene. It's just accessing the memory of that smell, that feeling. And that connection makes the language stick.
So these simple stories are the absolute best way to practice, really, natural English. The language reflects the real, low-stakes interactions we have all day, every day. It feels authentic and useful right away, not something you're just saving for a big exam. Now, here's where the sources get really practical. They don't just say, tell a story. They give us specific plot points and vocabulary to focus on. They actually describe detailed examples that work as perfect models.
They do, yeah.
They highlight 3 super relatable scenarios. First, there's that classic high-stress story of waking up late and running to catch the bus.
We've all had that feeling.
Oh, yeah. Second, they focus on something new, like trying a new cafe after work, just a little break in the routine. And third, a simple social moment, like meeting a friendly neighbor on a morning walk.
And what's crucial here is that these different scenarios, the rush, the treat, the chance meeting, they all draw from the same tiny toolkit of essential narrative words.
The building blocks.
They are the building blocks, the words that let you categorize events and move beyond just, I did this, the sources point to 5 of them. Once you master these, you can describe almost any daily event.
What are they?
Okay, so they are routine, habit, surprise, challenge, and experience.
Routine, habit, surprise, challenge, experience. Okay, those sound a little analytical. Let's ground that right away. Give us an example using those words with the bus story.
Of course. So, take running for the bus. You might start with your routine. I always wake up at 7 a.m. But then your habit of checking the news caused a problem.
Got it.
The surprise was the time. Maybe the alarm didn't go off. The challenge was, well, getting dressed and running down the street. And the overall experience was feeling relieved when you caught it, but maybe deciding to set 2 alarms next time.
I see. So these 5 words aren't just labels. They're like organizing principles for the story itself. They're guideposts that tell the listener what kind of information is coming next. That's a huge insight for learners.
It's a framework. It provides the narrative structure you need. And the sources, they really emphasize that the key is repetition. Each example is explained slowly, clearly, focusing on how those key terms work. The goal is just rapid learning of usable vocabulary.
Okay, that brings us to the most important part for you, the listener, the application. How do we take this knowledge and build our own fluency toolkit right now? The sources offer a simple, really clear 3-part framework for creating your own story every single day.
And it is so manageable.
It is. You don't need a huge diary. You just need to focus on 3 things from your actual day. The structure is 1, the first thing you do in the morning.
That establishes the routine.
Exactly. 2, one interesting moment during the day.
That's your surprise or challenge.
And 3, one thought you had before going to sleep. And that's for reflection and practicing the past tense.
This small storytelling structure is so powerful for building speaking confidence. When learners feel overwhelmed, they have nothing to say. But if you know you only have to cover those 3 simple moments.
Your coffee, a surprising email.
Right, a random thought about tomorrow. The task just feels doable. And this raises an important question. What grammatical structures are most useful here? We need sort of linguistic scaffolding. The sentence starters that make it all flow.
Yes, I want to know what those are, because often that's where fluency breaks down, right? At the beginning of the sentence, when you're fumbling for the right transition.
Exactly. And the sources give us 5 key expressions designed to boost that conversational fluency right away. They act as sentence starters and markers that just flow naturally in English speech.
Okay, let's walk through them.
All right, so first, for describing your routine and habit, that morning part, you use I usually.
Okay. I usually.
Or I tend to. For example, I usually wake up before my alarm, but this morning was different.
You see?
It immediately sets up the next part of the story.
That's so efficient. It creates an expectation that you're about to break.
Next, for introducing a change or a surprise, that interesting moment, the key phrase is one day. Or suddenly, you could say, one day this week, I decided to take a completely different route to the office.
Okay.
Third, when you're talking about a challenge or something unexpected, you need the phrase that expresses that lack of preparation. I didn't expect.
Oh, I like that one.
It's great. So, for the new route, I didn't expect the traffic to be so bad. It's a crucial conversational phrase that lets you narrate that feeling of being a bit overwhelmed.
Yeah, that sounds incredibly natural. It's a perfect way to explain an obstacle.
And fourth, for the experience and reflection part, this ties into the thought before sleep. The phrase is, it made me feel.
Ah, the internal state.
Exactly. It shifts the focus inward. So it made me feel really proud that I solved the problem quickly. It links the action to the feeling, which is so key for memory.
Okay, and the last one.
Finally, for summarizing the whole story, especially for that bedtime thought, the natural phrase is, at the end of the day. It lets you step back. At the end of the day, I realized that taking the scenic route was stressful, but I enjoyed seeing a new part of the city.
Wow. Those 5 starters are conversational gold mines. They give you a clear map for your day. And I think that central reminder from the sources is vital here. These stories do not need to be dramatic.
Not at all.
My mistake trying to learn Spanish was trying to talk about global politics. Simple moments are effective precisely because the routine makes the language repetitive and therefore memorable.
That consistency builds an automated response. Language learning isn't about knowing a million words. It's about making the most useful 5,000 words instantly accessible, no translation in your head. And by practicing this same 3-part structure every day, you're training your brain to deploy those key words and phrases on autopilot.
Okay, let's try to put this all together for the listener. Let's imagine your story today is about lunch break. a standard lunch, but a coworker mentioned some surprising news.
Okay, we can map that immediately.
Lay it out for us.
So, morning routine habit. I usually bring my lunch to work, a simple salad, because it's my habit to eat light at noon.
Okay, simple start.
Interesting moment, surprise challenge. One day during lunch, my coworker came over. I didn't expect her to tell me she was moving to a different country next month. It was a huge surprise.
Nice. And the final part.
Bedtime thought, experience reflection. At the end of the day, I thought about her decision. It made me feel a little sad she was leaving, but also excited for her new experience.
That is fantastic. That short narrative, 4 or 5 sentences, uses all those tools perfectly, and you can do it without having to think about complex grammar. You just follow the template.
Exactly.
So, what does this all mean for you? We've taken this deep dive into the idea that mastering English fluency doesn't require massive textbooks. It just requires mastering the language to describe your own daily life.
It's all right there in front of you.
The power is in the familiarity. You already know the story. The focus is on that core vocabulary routine, surprise, challenge, and the method is that simple 3-step narrative. Morning, interesting moment, bedtime thought.
It's a daily practice.
It is. And the final reminder from the source is simple but powerful. Listening to stories every day, even short ones, and practicing your own will slowly but surely improve your understanding, your pronunciation, and, most importantly, your confidence.
And that leads us to a final thought for you to consider. It builds on the source's closing encouragement, which I love. It says that every small step in learning counts, and your English will improve day by day. So if you apply this story structure we shared, focusing on narrating your morning, one interesting moment, and one thought before sleep, you're actually engaging in this deep daily self-reflection.
Right.
So the question is, what larger, unexpected life lesson about your own routine, your habits, your goals, your emotional responses, what will you uncover about yourself through the simple act of trying to translate it into a new language? The language is the window, but the story is always yours. And telling it helps you know yourself better.